Hello.
Hello.
We're back.
With another episode of The Horror Guys, number 74. And look at that table jiggle. Don't jiggle the table. Bad. So anyway, I'm Kevin.
I'm Brian.
And we're here to talk about some horror movies.
Some good horror movies.
Some good. Mostly good.
Yeah,
I think this week
kind of liked all of these.
This week was mostly good. Yeah.
It's not a rule. Sometimes we have some real stinkers.
Yeah, and questionable and things on the fence. But yeah, overall, this was an entertaining week. Yeah.
Well, this week we'll have the Universal film, The Man They Could Not Hang. Which is not true, because they did hang him.
Yeah, but he didn't stay hung.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Hammer's The Devil Rides Out.
Yeehaw!
One little Satan worship with your
It's a Western,
Christopher
right?
Lee. Sounds like a Western.
Yeah, or a motorcycle gang.
Devil Rides Out. It was high noon. They drew, and the devil was the better artist. That's not what they meant by draw?
No, I don't think so.
The Italian Giallo film, Tenebrae, and the Netflix film, Platform, which is new in the past week or two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were they worthwhile?
Well, we should talk about that in more depth.
Spoilers ahead.
Some spoilers.
But here we go. So,
The Man They Could Not Hang.
but they did.
1939, Boris Karloff.
Yeah.
Classic.
Not one of the big ones from Boris, but
it was pretty darn good.
I thought it was.
I thought it deserves more fame than it
better
has.
than some of those later Frankensteins.
I had never even heard of this one before.
He's got a whole series of these. The Man They Could Not Hang, The Man They Killed Twice, The Man with 9 Lives, and I think it's kind of the same. He does somehow or another he winds up on death row, executed, and then
doesn't
comes
stay
back.
that way. Yeah.
That man has been executed more than anybody I know.
A hard man to kill. Yeah.
Usually, yes. Yeah. So, directed by Nick Grind, written by Carl Brown and George Wallace Sayre, stars Boris Karloff, Lorna Gray, Robert Wilcox, and like all these oldies, it's only an hour and 4 minutes.
A lot happens. They cram it in.
They do. Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't want to get this one mixed up with that other one we watched, Before I Hang, which came a year after this.
Same kind.
We watched them both like right back to back, and
Back from the
they're
Dead.
really, really similar.
And they've got Karloff kind of being the same guy in them.
Yeah, it's like, I like this story. Let's do it again with different.
Yeah.
But they were both pretty good.
Yeah, they were.
For being the same thing 1 year apart, they looked the same. It's Karloff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were good.
Yeah. Overall, yeah.
Dr. Lang arrives at Dr. Henrik Savard's huge home and laboratory and hopes that he isn't too late.
Yeah, it's quite a home, too.
And he walks in the door and
Big
says,
opens.
I hope I'm not too late. And he's carrying the artificial heart that they're hoping to do an experiment with.
Like
They were waiting on
like
him.
they're going to start without him. He's got the part that they need.
So Savard, who is Karloff, is examining a young man on the table who is in perfect shape. He's very healthy. Dr. Lang has brought Savard a new artificial heart that they've been working on together. And he warns the young man, whose name is Bob, they're very creative in the 40s, that there may be difficulties with the new heart, but he wants to try it anyway. Bob's all in on science.
See, and I misunderstood at first. I thought they were going to, take this guy's heart out, put this artificial heart in. But, it's like a heart-lung machine.
Yeah.
Before there was a heart-lung machine. An
we're
external.
going to replace your heart.
They stop all his processes and then
It's like as
keep
big as
him
a
alive.
basketball.
Yeah, keep him alive with this artificial, which they do now with heart-lung machines during surgeries and open heart surgery.
They do straight-up heart transplants now. This was
Yeah.
all science fiction back then.
It was, yeah. But back then. So anyway, they've got the artificial heart.
Yeah, so they're going to kill Bob on purpose. They're going to stop his heart, switch the heart, and then wake him up again.
Mm-hmm.
They
Get him going
figure
again.
it'll all take about 2 hours, and then they can say they can all go out for chop suey afterwards. 2 hours for a heart transplant. Well, so Betty, Savard's nurse and Bob's girlfriend, begs him not to go through with it, and then runs off.
And she's a bit of a twit, isn't she?
Oh, yeah, because she works there. She knows what's going on. And
Duh.
it's like you read nurses on Facebook who are all anti-vax.
And these people are so
Really?
dumb in this.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they start the procedure, and Bob's heart rate drops to 0. He's dead,
Clinically dead.
as planned.
Clinically dead.
Well, I'm sure if you get your
Which they
heart
do-
hanging out on the side,
It's
turned
not
off.
It's not hanging out on the side. They just,
He's dead.
But they do this now. I mean, back then, that was the interesting part. It's like, they can do this now.
I'm sure they talked theoretically it could be done at the time, but
Probably.
yeah, they weren't doing it.
They weren't doing it. Yeah.
So they turn on the cryogenic unit and say it'll take about 30 minutes for the body to chill. They hook up the glass heart to watch the blood flow, and it does its little bloop, bloop,
Yeah,
bloop,
it's got a
bloop. It's kind of a neat design.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if it was based on any kind of science at the time or not, but I think it looked believable for what it was.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Meanwhile, they hook up the glass heart and watch the blood flow. It works great.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, then Nurse Betty goes to the police and screams that Savard's about to kill her boyfriend. Well, the police rush to the house and break in.
Too late, he's dead.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Savard hears the police outside and gives his partner, Dr. Lang, the heart to hide. Here, take this. They'll take it away. The police then arrest Savard as he screams that he can bring Bob back to life if they just give him another hour.
No one listens.
Nope, they never do. And Savard ends up on trial for murder when Bob times out.
He stays dead.
Yeah. Nobody's there to fix him.
Stays dead for real. Yeah.
Well, Savard blames his treacherous nurse, Betty.
As
And so do we.
As he should.
Yeah.
She's an idiot.
She is. Savard explains the benefits of a heart transplant, which was complete science fiction in 1939. So after much deliberation, the jury doesn't believe him. He's condemned to execution. Well, Savard gets to address the jury before sentencing, and he gives them all, and he lets them have it. He swears they'll all regret their decision. And Savard's daughter, Janet, goes into hiding at the recommendation of her reporter friend. They make arrangements for Dr. Lang, the partner, to take possession of Savard's body for scientific research.
Research. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, then they hang Savard, but no arguments. He just goes up and they got him. Later, Lang takes the body into the lab and hooks it up to the heart machine. The machine explodes from being turned up too high, but it works, bringing Savard back to life. Lang repairs the broken neck, which was easy to do once Savard was dead. So Lang can bring people back from the dead with this machine, but he couldn't.
As long as they're fresh.
But he couldn't fix Bob.
Well, they wouldn't let him.
He was hiding in the basement. They didn't arrest him. Oh, they probably took Bob away with them. Yeah, they would. Yeah, no access.
Yeah.
Months pass. Scoop Foley, the reporter. You know, some reporters are always named Scoop.
Yeah.
Hey, Scoop! And 13 people turn their head.
Yo.
Well, Scoop Foley catches on to the fact that 6 men have all hung themselves, and they were all on the Savard jury.
What a coincidence.
He thinks that looks suspicious.
Huh.
He returns to Savard's house, as do several other people associated with the trial. They've all received wires or telegraphs or summons or letters, and they're all fakes.
But it all gets them together in the house at the same time.
Yeah. Well, Savard comes in and surprises them all. He greets each of them one at a time personally, and he claims that the fiend who has killed the 6 jurors wants to kill all of them as well. Maybe it's not what we think. The judge is then electrocuted as he tries to leave. All the doors and windows are barred, and Savard then announces over a loudspeaker that they will now all die, one by one.
And I thought this was very clever how he did this.
They do.
Yeah. No matter how hard they try, he kind of plays them, and without going into details, because that's
in 15 minutes, Joe will die.
Yeah.
In 21 minutes, Betty will die.
And so they all gather in a circle. Okay, hold hands and gather in a circle around this person and protect them. But no,
somehow it still happens.
He manages. Yeah, it's very clever how he does that. He knows them all, and he knows how he has the house rigged up and series of traps and booby traps and tricks, and
he's been thinking about this for a while.
Yeah, I liked that.
Well, then Janet comes home unexpectedly, and Savard explains that he killed Lang, and his invention will go to the grave with him.
Gives him a guilt trip.
Yeah, his partner had done nothing but help him, and he killed the partner too, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Other than they had to kill the partner too and needed someone to do it.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's insane.
Crazy man.
All right, so he tells Janet to either leave or stay out of the way. Janet, of course, calls his bluff, touches the metal grill, and is also electrocuted. And then one of the guests shoots Savard.
But it's only a flesh wound.
Yeah. Savard is still not dead, and he hooks Janet up to the machine. I guess he's rebuilt it since it exploded, and saves her life. Janet comes back to life in front of the others. Savard has proven he was right. Then Savard gets his gun and destroys the machine, and then dies from his bullet wound.
Basically saying, F you all, you can't have the machine.
Yes. Yeah. I have beaten death, but not for you.
He didn't use the F word because it was a movie from 1939.
He didn't have the F word.
They hadn't invented the F word yet. but the intent is there. F you all, you ain't getting the machine.
Somebody's going to post a comment on YouTube that the F word was invented in 1583 or something.
I know, but they didn't use it in black and white movies from 1939 where they wanted a decent rating.
I guess in one of our earlier episodes we mentioned that The Wolfman came out in 1943.
Yeah.
Someone commented, no, it was 1941.
Okay.
I know that.
Okay.
We misspoke.
Okay.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Karloff never got to do much real acting in most of his films. Either he was covered in some kind of mask or makeup, or he had some very simple scripts. In this one, he got to make several really good dramatic speeches and show us that he actually can act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's kind of surprising.
Yeah,
it's way down on the list of horror films. It's not one of the big universals.
This is one I'd really recommend checking out, though.
It's more mad scientist than monster. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also interesting to see the perspective and outlook people had on heart transplants before they were actually a thing. This wasn't a historical drama like, say, Frankenstein that took place in the 1700s. This was a contemporary story with a bit of science fiction thrown in. This took place in 1939. So the whole, the devil's going to get you. There were some things that men were not meant to know that go on in the Frankenstein films. They were a little more advanced than that in the 40s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, very much.
Speaking of things, there were some things that men were not meant to know.
The devil rides out.
Yeah. Big old horseback. Got his whip and his spurs and yee-haw.
And this is the third movie that I've seen Charles Gray in. For as many movies as he's done, I haven't seen... How many acting credits does he have? He must have a ton, but...
Well, let's see. He was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, obviously.
Yeah,
he was in
The Legacy.
one of the James
Legacy
Bond
was...
movies. Actually, he was in two of the James Bond movies.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot he was the James Bond bad guy. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot about The Legacy.
Okay.
You're right there.
Okay. But he's got 136 acting credits.
And I bet they're all creepy bad guys.
And of those, I've seen 4, 5. Yeah.
1968 Hammer film, Devil Rides Out. Christopher Lee says this is his favorite of all the Hammer films. So, directed by Terence Fisher, written by Richard Matheson and Dennis Wheatley, stars Christopher Lee, Charles Gray, and Nike Arrighi. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but they're dead now. They don't matter. 1 hour, 35 minutes. Link in the show notes.
Really?
Yeah, they can write me a letter.
Okay.
And there go the YouTube comments again.
Yeah, probably.
No, you spell that some other way.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Did you like it?
I did, yeah.
Best movie ever?
No.
Is it the best of the Hammers in your opinion?
It's up there.
Of course, Christopher
Lee
Lee
good. Yeah.
liked it because he had a pretty good role here.
Yeah, he gets to talk and have normal dialogue instead of just hissing and growling.
He's a good guy in this.
Yeah, for a change.
He's the Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Spelled D-U-C, according to everything I've read.
The Duke.
I don't know. I'm not British and I don't know all these titles. But he's the Duke, spelled D-U-C.
Mm-hmm.
The Duke picks up Rex at the airport, and they're both worried about their friend Simon, who hasn't taken visitors in ages. They head over to his estate, where there's a party going on that they weren't invited to. Simon explains that it's not a party, it's an astronomical society that I've joined.
Right. Yeah. Uh-huh. Sure it is.
Yeah, it's obviously not.
Yeah, it's very weird and very international, very diverse.
There's clearly your token India guy there. There's your token African guy wearing the African getup. There are various token diversity, nationalities, just to show us how international the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
So they meet some people. They meet Tanith and Mr. Makata. Tanith says that surely there shouldn't be more than 13 people here, and the Duke knows what's going on immediately. And that's my primary problem with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Duke knows too much.
He knows a lot.
He knows a lot.
He's a smart guy.
He knows way too much to make the movie interesting. He's Mr. Exposition.
Kinda. Yeah.
But Simon suddenly gets uncomfortable. And you've got to wonder, how does he know all this? It's like he's run into all of it before.
He reads a lot.
This is the Duke versus the Devil, Part 2.
Yeah, pretty much.
Simon suddenly gets uncomfortable and rushes the Duke and Rex out. He says it's a private party. The Duke wants to see the astronomical observatory, and it'll only take 5 minutes. Well, they go up, and there is a telescope, but there's also a great big goat head painted on the floor, which was pretty cool looking, actually. It looks like it was built there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
Well, Rex finds this all very amusing, but the Duke is getting upset. They find a bunch of chickens in the basket, and the Duke screams that he'd rather see Simon dead than involved in black magic. They knock Simon out and carry him out the front door, and none of the 13 guests notice. Well, the Duke then hypnotizes Simon. You will wake up at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And he places a big cross around Simon's neck, and still under hypnosis tells him, never take it off. And they carry him in and put him to bed. 5 minutes later, the butler goes in and sees Simon trying to choke himself to death with a cross's chain, so the butler takes it off. And of course, without the chain, Simon then runs off through the fields. The Duke and Rex head back to Simon's house, but he's not there. Suddenly, the goat painted on the floor lights up and smoke comes out of it, and they get a vision of something strange. The Duke screams, "Don't look at the eyes! Don't look at the eyes!" But Rex looks at the eyes.
He looks at the eyes.
It's okay, though, because the Duke throws a cross at the thing. It's all right now.
Yeah.
It just, poof, it's gone.
Problem solved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Duke's good.
He made such a big deal out of don't look at the eyes, but
just
it didn't do anything.
Just throw the cross. Oh, it kind of hypnotized him.
For briefly.
Yeah.
They decide to track down Tanith, since Rex remembers meeting her at one point in the past. Rex picks her up and tries to keep her from going to the satanic baptism, which is tonight. She dumps him, and soon they're in an antique car chase. The devil interferes, and Rex crashes his own car. Actually, crashes his brother's car. Poor old cars.
Yeah, that was that'd be awkward to explain.
Yeah.
I mean, he runs up, out of nowhere, and
I need to borrow your car.
I need to borrow your car. He stays for 5 minutes, or less than 5 minutes.
Oh, not even.
2 minutes. Need to borrow your car. Okay. Drives off and crashes it.
Yeah. And these are like Rolls Royces and stuff too.
Expensive.
The early 1900s cars.
Yeah. Rich people cars.
Yeah. Rex still manages to follow her. Everybody in this is really rich. Mm-hmm. There's no poor working people in this one.
Yeah. They're very upscale.
Yeah. Next time you're looking for a Satanist, check out the rich. Rex still manages to follow her on foot and manages to track them to a ritual in the woods. There are a lot more than 13 people at this meeting in the woods. Mokata is in charge, and this is the baptism for Tanith and Simon. They sacrifice a goat, and Rex runs away and calls the Duke from a payphone. The Duke drives all the way out to the country, picks up Rex, and drives there just as the celebration is really getting started. Baphomet shows up, and they begin the baptism. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, the Duke and Rex shine a car's headlights on the proceedings to disrupt things. They grab Simon and Tanith and drive away.
I found that scene darkly amusing too, because they break up the ceremony, and there's the followers wearing robes, and it's just
like
pandemonium. But they're not. They're all just like literally all just running in all different directions.
It's two guys in a convertible slow down in the crowd, grab two people out of the audience, put them in the car, and none of these people think to reach in and grab them or open the door and fight them.
No, they all just run around
like,
and scream and wave their hands and pull their hair and fall down. And
they outnumber them 10 to 1 easy.
Yeah. So, good thing. Good thing they were that. Yeah.
Well, they all had to. They were in a frenzy or something.
Yes, they were frenzied. Yeah. Yes.
Well, they all head over to Rex's brother's house again to regroup, and Rex and Tanith have a moment between them. Mokata comes to visit the family and hypnotizes the woman, the sister-in-law, who answers the door.
He was really good in that role, I thought. I liked him in that role. Evil.
Yeah, because he plays a good guy so rarely.
Well,
this fails, but Mokata swears that I won't be back for them, but something will. Yeah. That night, Tanith hypnotizes Rex while under Mokata's influence and escapes. The Duke returns, and he's ready to do battle. They get ready for a ritual of their own. They stand in a circle to defend themselves from the coming attack. There are many temptations to leave the circle, but the Duke is too smart for that. Then, the devil rides in.
Just like the title.
Yeah, on a horse and everything. Morning comes, and Tanith is found dead. The angel of death won't leave empty-handed. Simon then uses the opportunity to escape. The Duke summons the spirit of Tanith, and she says she'll help Rex. She should tell them where to find Mokata and Simon. Simon then rejoins Mokata, and now they plan to sacrifice Rex's young niece. Now, 2 or 3 times Simon has gone to this guy, and they've rescued him back, and he's like, I'm so glad you rescued me back from that guy. He's bad.
But he keeps
and yet he keeps going back and participating in this ritual. And you know who survives at the end? Hypocritical Simon. They rescue him, and he gets off scot-free after he's caused all this trouble, basically.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, Simon rejoins Mokata, and now they plan to sacrifice Rex's young niece, little 10 or 12-year-old girl. The Duke, Rex, and the girl's parents come to the house and interrupt things. Mokata plans to trade the soul of Tanith for the child. Tanith returns in the girl's mother's body and has her say a few magic words. Well, all hell breaks loose, and the entire place bursts into flames, instantly killing all the Satanists and returning Tanith back to life.
Must be a Hammer film.
Time itself has been reversed. The angel of death took Mokata instead. Well, this thing has so many plot holes. It's hard to really point them all out.
Yeah, it did.
First of all, Simon and Tanith both wanted to be satanically baptized. They signed up for this.
No, they didn't. The Duke rescued them for their own good. That's not what they really wanted.
They were loving every minute of it until the Duke got involved.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And the whole other crowd was already done, too. This is just the 2 newest members who were nothing special.
Yeah.
They don't put up any fight or objection once they get rescued from the ceremony. They wanted to be there, but they wanted to be rescued, too. And then they wanted to go back. And then they wanted to get rescued again. And then, it's weird. You could argue that actually seeing the devil out at that ceremony brought them to their senses. And there were an awful lot of people in that ceremony, and clearly they'd all seen him before. They weren't too weirded out by this.
Oh, it's the devil. Must be Tuesday.
Tuesday is Devil Day. Not tacos anymore. It also doesn't really explain why Simon and Tanith signed up for all this, or why Mokata wanted them to join so badly. He went to a lot of trouble for these 2 new recruits. He already had a pretty big crowd.
And keeps going through a lot of trouble to try to get them back. Get them back. It's like, well, just let them go.
Logically, you should be able to advertise and get more people than that.
No, he was obsessed. And
yeah, it's not like either of them were like the chosen one or had any special powers or anything. They were just 2 people.
Just a couple rich folks.
Yeah. Money didn't seem to be a problem. Them being rich didn't seem to, have a lot to do with it. He went after their money.
Yeah.
Well, the need for exposition is always there in a film, but the Duke just knows way too much. He takes the mystery out of everything. He's more of a tour guide than a real character, explaining everything as we go along. It's like having Gandalf on your devil-busting team. He knows everything. Also, I'm starting to believe that all older British people are masters of hypnosis. Seems like they can all do it.
In these movies, they can.
Yeah, they can. Well, this was Christopher Lee's personal favorite of the Hammerfills, and he's fine in this. He's fine.
Fine.
But being a hero just really isn't his thing.
Liked him better as Dracula.
Yeah, and he didn't even speak in Dracula much. Well, his character just isn't that interesting. He's too knowledgeable and too infallible. You know he's going to win, and he kind of makes it boring doing it because he knows too much. Charles Gray is his usual creepy self. I've never seen him be bad in anything. All the antique cars in this are really cool, and there's a lot of them, and there's even like antique car chases.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good imagery and costumes here, and you just know a lot of satanic things probably got based on what the visuals in this movie. The goat and some of the pentagrams and all that. Either this was a very well-researched movie or it invented a lot of these things. And I lean toward that part.
Some of each.
Yeah. There's a lot of good imagery and costumes here, although the ending was just a little too abrupt and a little too convenient, and a lot of it didn't make any logical sense. Still, it had a lot of good parts. I don't know why this isn't more well-known among the horror classics.
And it was released in the U.S. as The Devil's Bride.
Yeah.
Because they did think it would sound like a Western.
Yeah.
So they changed the U.S. title.
Yeah, this all takes place in the British countryside in the early 1900s because they had cars and telephones. But yeah, it's not a Western. It sort of sounds like one.
Not really, yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that are not a Western, did you see any short films this week?
I did. I saw it about 20 minutes ago.
What was it called?
No, not The Prey, just Prey. Prey. No, the other kind of prey. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Prey.
Prey
Prey.
2020.
The link in the show notes so you can watch it on YouTube.
I thought this was delightful.
Yeah.
In every way.
Written and directed by Bill Weirdy. Stars Jacob Zakar, Jessica Cook, James Sixza, Monty Lamonte. I like that. And Kim House, 4 minutes and 57 seconds. Monty Lamonte.
Monty Lamonte.
Yes. It doesn't even sound like it's kind of a Spanish name.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, senor. I am Monte Lamonte.
Yeah. Cool.
It's memorable, at least.
Cool name.
And did you like it?
I did, yeah.
Is there a but?
No, there is no but.
I
thought it was terrific.
I thought it was really good, too,
Yeah.
So a young couple leaves the movie theater, and they weren't paying too much attention to the film. They head straight into the parking garage, and they notice that they're being followed by a strange truck. Soon they're being chased by the truck, and they have to hide. Finally, they safely get into their car. On the other hand, that may not be as safe as they thought. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, if you're being chased by a guy in a truck in a parking garage, you just go stand between the other cars. There's hundreds of safe places to stand or even hide if necessary. Why they had to run out in the open and get chased down by the truck is
they didn't,
plot reasons.
They didn't really. They were kind of running between the cars and running to their car. And, yeah.
They were entirely too upset. The guy made no effort to get out of his truck that we saw, in the beginning anyway. Okay, that said, the film is really well made. The acting, sets, and lighting is really good. And I mention the good lighting because everything takes place here in a dark parking garage. And you can actually see everything.
Yeah.
It's really well done for a dark thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dark film where you can see. Thumbs up. The story is fairly predictable, but then again, it's 4 minutes long, and it's very well done, and I was entertained. It's only 4 minutes, but it's a good, strong 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally good.
This one's a winner for sure.
Which takes us to our Italian film of the week, Tenebrae from 1982. And I will admit I have seen this one before in Italian with subtitles, so this was not new for me.
We saw it.
But I'd forgotten the ending. I'd forgotten who did it. So it was like new.
Dubbed version this time around.
Yeah, this one's dubbed. Directed by Dario Argento. Written by him also. Stars Anthony Franciosa, Giuliano Gemma, and Christian Borromeo. Hour and 41 minutes. And you can get it either subtitled or dubbed. I thought the dubbing was reasonably... You could tell it was dubbed, but it wasn't bad.
Sometimes their lips didn't match, but
yeah,
it's because they were speaking Italian and we were hearing English.
So I'd seen this before, and I noticed it was now on Shudder. It had just been released like last week on Shudder, so I'm like, we should watch Tenebrae. And Kevin's like, what? He didn't know this one.
I'd never seen this.
So what'd you think?
It was okay. I didn't love it.
Okay.
It was okay. It would just okay.
Movie of the week kind of thing? It kind of felt like, an old made-for-TV movie.
Kinda. Yeah, it kinda did.
It's not.
Kinda had that feel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was too long and not interesting enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I won't argue with you. It is kind of long. I remember it being better than that. But it's good.
Yeah. I
give it a 7.
Yeah, 6.5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peter Neal, the author of the mystery book Tenebrae, which I don't even know what that means in Italian. I think I knew that once. Rides his bike. Yeah, look, somebody's going to look that up for
Somebody's
me.
going to look that up. Somebody has a pad reader.
So he rides his bicycle to the San Francisco airport, followed by his baggage in a car. He parks the bicycle, hands it off, and his chauffeur gives him his clothes. What the point of this scene was, I do not know, other than to make him look like some sort of California weirdo who rides his bike everywhere. Although there's nothing about his personality where that ever comes up again.
Go figure.
He goes to the San Francisco airport, and he's about to fly to Rome. He gets a phone call, and someone steals his bag while he's not paying attention. He then finds the bag around the corner, but we know that someone has tampered with it. Meanwhile, a girl in Rome shoplifts the Tenebrae book from a department store. Do we know what Tenebrae means?
In Latin, it literally means darkness.
Oh.
In the Roman Catholic Church, it was for the last 3 days of Holy Week, at which candles are successively extinguished.
Well, things do get successively extinguished here.
Yes, a Holy Week service, Wednesday through Friday.
I don't think that's got anything to do with it.
I think it's probably the Latin darkness.
The darkness, yes. Yeah. So we're watching this film, The Latin Darkness.
Yeah.
Starring Lamante Monte.
No, not in this one.
The Latin. Okay. So anyway, so this girl shoplifts that book from a department store and she gets caught. She offers the security guy her home address to let her go, and he agrees. So she leaves, and she's attacked by a homeless guy on the street, which seems to be treated like a typical day in Rome. She gets home, and then someone kills her, then stuffs her mouth full of pages torn from the book. The killer then takes her photo once she's dead. Peter then arrives in Rome and is immediately called a sexist on TV for writing his trashy novel. We meet his agent named Bulmer, who tells Peter that he's a major success in Italy and he's got all kinds of publicity events lined up. Now, first shot, this Bulmer is John Saxon, sort of a long, he's been in a million things. Yep. And I'm like, yep, he's the killer, doing it for publicity. Well, Peter opens his bag and finds his stuff was trashed and covered in blood. It's always the second biggest character in the movie in these things, isn't it? The second biggest actor.
It seems like it, yeah.
Who doesn't seem all that important, but they're there for a reason. Yeah. It's not. Well, Peter opens his bag and finds his stuff. Oh, yeah, we're going to spoil it.
Yeah.
Sorta. No, not entirely. I'm not going to tell the final ending. Peter opens his bag and finds his stuff was trashed and covered in blood, which happened back at the San Francisco airport. A homicide detective then questions him about the dead shoplifter, but Peter was clearly on the plane at the time and doesn't know anything about it. The detective thinks that since Peter wrote the book, there might be a connection. So if you ever kill somebody with a Stephen King book, watch out, Stephen. The book involves a killer who uses an open-edged razor, and that's how the girl was killed as well. We then cut away to a topless girl giving a show on the beach to 4 men at once. Then the girl and 3 guys attack the 4th man. And this seems like it's very clearly a flashback by what we have to assume is the killer. The 2 girls... we go back to the present. 2 girls, one of whom is topless in every scene, because it's Italian.
And there's boobies.
There's lots, yes.
Yeah, Dario Argento. What? Boobies? Yep. One of his trademarks.
They live together in an apartment building and are arguing about some guy they both like. And there's some lesbian comments made later on, but they're both involved with the same man, so I'm not sure how that fits.
Because they're roommates and one of them shows their boobies, and therefore they must be lesbians. I don't know. Yeah, it seems like a stretch.
It was the 80s.
There was no indication that they were lovers or anything, or any romance between them.
No.
Yeah. So I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. And one soon becomes the next victim of the killer. And the second girl follows minutes later. Peter starts regretting ever having written the Tenebrae book, and then he sees Jane, his ex-wife, who's supposed to be back home in the USA. Could she be stalking him?
Could she be involved?
A girl is being chased by an insane dog, and she finds an open door and goes inside. It's the killer's hideout.
What a terrible choice of places to hide.
Convenient. Well, she finds his photos, papers, and even the little cutout letters he uses to make secret notes. She stuffs her pockets full of evidence, and the killer comes in and cleans things up, starting with her. Well, Peter's secretary spots Jane on the road again, She definitely is in town. Peter and his assistant then track down their suspect, a creepy reporter, who they see murdered with an axe to the forehead.
Chunk.
Well, we cut back to that girl we saw on the beach earlier, and this time we see her killed with a knife. Peter then tells Bulmer, the agent, that he wants to leave Rome. Bulmer suggests renting a house in the hills instead until this all blows over. We then see that Bulmer is having an affair with Jane.
Oh my.
That's why she's in town.
Uh-huh.
Soon, Bulmer is stabbed in a crowded mall there.
And that was just really abrupt and out of the blue, and you don't, like, how did they do that?
You walk up and stab somebody in a crowded mall and nobody notices.
Nobody notices, yeah.
Yeah, he'd have yelled. They might have...
Yeah.
Maybe he did yell. I don't remember now.
No, not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Peter's assistant remembers that he saw the reporter admit to the murders just before he was killed. So who killed Bulmer?
So there's more than one people
Could be.
doing killing.
Could be.
Huh.
He doesn't get a chance to tell anybody about this revelation because he's the next to die. Jane calls Peter's secretary Anne, but before Anne arrives, Jane gets put to the axe in the goriest scene of the film. Which wasn't her either.
Which Quentin Tarantino is reported to say that he was especially fond of that death scene.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Where she paints the wall, so to speak. It's a gusher. Yeah.
Scenes later, you still see the paint.
Yeah.
The blood.
Yeah.
So the female homicide detective arrives, and she's next on the list. Finally, we find out who the murderer is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd seen this movie before, like 10, 15 years ago, and I didn't remember who the murderer was till the very end. So it was like a whole new movie for me.
I did like that ending, and then the ending.
Yeah.
Kind of got a double ending, and yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not give too much away there.
No.
Well, the 80s soundtrack really stands out in this one. It's pretty badly dubbed on Shudder, but I originally saw it in Italian with subtitles, so it is available both ways. There's a lot of long, sweeping, moody shots of the interior and exterior of some interesting buildings, which is interesting to watch.
Very interesting.
There's like a 5-minute scene of the camera floating around outside the brick house that the two girls lived in. And it goes up over the roof and down the wall and across this window and up to that window. And it's kind of pointless, but it's definitely atmospheric.
Trivia says it took 3 days to put that shot together.
It did, okay.
Sequence, yeah.
Yeah, according to the trivia, this is some mild flavor of post-apocalyptic film. So Argento said this.
And knowing that ahead of time, I still didn't really see that.
I didn't realize it the first time I saw it, and it's really kind of irrelevant to the second one also.
Yeah.
Which explains why everything in Rome is so deserted and isolated. The shoplifter walks home down the street, gets attacked by a homeless man in the bright daylight in a residential street, and nobody says a thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Most of the scenes in the malls, the girl runs down the street at night chased by the dog, and she screams and the dog yells, and nobody does anything.
Yeah.
So it is very isolated. But then when Bulmer is in the mall waiting for somebody, he gets stabbed. There's people everywhere.
Crowded, yeah. Looks normal. Yeah.
It's deserted when it's convenient to be.
Plot device.
Other than a general lack of people, there's nothing specific or even obvious about this idea of whatever the apocalypse was. And in my first viewing, I missed it completely. So,
yeah.
I wouldn't put too much stock in that. It's like somebody was complaining that there weren't enough people in it, and he made up a story.
Maybe.
All right, which takes us to our newish movie this week, The Platform from 2019.
El Hoyo.
El what?
El Hoyo.
El Hoyo.
Hoyo.
Is
H-O-Y-O.
Starring Monty Del Monte or whatever? No?
No.
Okay.
No.
Directed by Galder Gaztelu. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're going to murder these names?
Directed by Galder Gaztelu Urrutia. Written by David DeSola. Stars Ivan Masagli, Zorion Equilior, and Antonia San Juan.
And we apologize for those pronunciations.
Yeah, because those people probably aren't dead. They care.
Yeah.
All right, so this is The Platform. It's available on Netflix, and I was going to put an Amazon link for, our usual affiliate, and it's not available to buy. So for now, at least, get it on Netflix and nowhere else. Did you like it?
I loved it. because it was good. It was weird, and the characters were engrossing, and you wanted to see what was happening next, and you never knew quite what was going on. In a way, it kept reminding me of it kind of rhymes.
I know what he's
with
going to say.
Cube.
What's it say right there in my notes?
Oh, it does. See, we hadn't discussed this
If there was
previously.
one film that I would compare this to, it would be Cube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's people trapped in a place and they don't understand exactly what's going on, and we don't exactly understand what's going on or where this place is, why these people are being kept there. There's a lot of unanswered things, but very cool.
It's very
fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we start out with scenes from a very fancy kitchen and numerous chefs creating the perfect meal. This is high-end fancy stuff.
Oh, super, super, yeah. And there's one head chef who's really militant about it.
Later on, we see him going through, he found a hair in something, and he's...
Oh, he's going through comparing whose hair is it.
Yeah, and all this food is going straight down to the prisoners who really don't care. It's never explained why they get such fancy food.
Part, yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
Feed
later,
them well.
Well, later it began. It's mentioned the main character guy, Goreng. They ask him what his favorite dish is.
Yep.
And she says, oh, "Well, that'll be included." So maybe there's, all these foods on there are people's favorite dish. As part of
some kind of escargot.
Part of the
favorite.
torment. Yeah, that was his favorite. But.
All right, so we got the numerous chefs creating the perfect meal. Then we fade out, and then back into two men in a large stone room. The old man tells the newcomer that he's in the hole on level 48.
Well, and that's where it was like the cube, too. He wakes up.
Yeah,
and he doesn't have...
How'd I
get here? Yeah.
Where is this place?
Yeah.
Well, he explains that the people on level 48, the two of them, get to eat the people on level 47's leftovers.
And it's better than a lot of the levels.
Yeah, you're lucky to be here.
Yeah, you're lucky to be on level 48.
And there's this huge hole in the floor and the ceiling that seems to fall through an infinite number of levels beneath them.
Yeah, it's a rectangular hole. You can look up and down, and there's cells at each level. You can kind of see the people above and below somewhat.
Yeah. Well, the newcomer's name is Goreng, and the old man is Trimagasi. Well, Trimagasi explains that level 48 is a good level. The people above won't talk to you, and he's not to talk to the people below because they're below us. They'll be on level 48 for exactly 1 month, and then we'll see. What happens then?
Yeah.
A light on the wall changes, and a huge platform of food descends through the hole.
Perfectly sized through the rectangle.
Trimagasi begins stuffing his face, and they're eating the leftovers from 94 other people.
The people above, who have gotten it so far. Yeah.
But Trimagasi says that's okay because there won't be that many people left by the end of the month. And after 2 or 3 minutes, the food descends to the next level. So you get to eat once a day, you better make it count.
Mm-hmm.
We get a flashback that seems to indicate that Goreng actually volunteered to be there.
Which is, and it's not clear, you volunteer and he gets a diploma.
An accredited diploma.
An accredited diploma. So apparently you can volunteer for this, but he didn't know fully what he was going into, and his cellmate...
Which makes it seem like it's more of some kind of a psychological experiment than a real prison punishment deal.
Yeah. And the Trimagasi, I don't know if you're going to mention that, how he killed somebody, which was more or less an accidental. He had a tantrum and threw a television out the window, and it landed on somebody. And killed him.
But he's got to do, what did they say, 2 years?
1 year.
1 year, okay.
Yeah, 12 months. Yeah. They gave him the choice, come in the hole or a psychiatric hospital, and he chose the hole. So that's why he's there. Yeah.
Okay, so Goreng chose to do 6 months in the hole to get an accredited diploma. We assume that's, an educational diploma for a job. Trimagasi killed a man by dropping a TV on his head. And then they reassign the levels every month, but the two people stay paired off.
Yeah, well, Timagassi's been there like 8-9 months already.
Yeah.
And, so Gorang's like, what happened to your previous roommate then? Well, that's kind of a funny story.
Yeah. We find out.
Yeah.
Well, Trimagasi explains that he used to be on level 132 at one point. None of the food ever makes it down that far. And he says, that doesn't mean I didn't have anything to eat, ominously.
Mm-hmm.
It's only really dangerous, he says, if you're assigned at 2 lower levels 2 months in a row. You can mostly do without food for a month, he says.
And it seems like the assignments must be random.
Seems that way.
Yeah.
Eventually, someone from above suicides down the shaft. Someone down below gets some free meat.
Mm-hmm.
It's all very depressing and weird, but Goreng starts to get used to the routine. Then the end of the month comes, and the two wake up on level 171.
That's pretty bad.
Where Goreng learns that Trimagasi is not such a nice guy after all. The platform comes down, and it's covered in empty dishes. Not even bones. So the point of the story is eat or be eaten. And that's the only rule in this prison. I mean, vertical self-management center.
That's what the administrators call it.
It's not a prison. It's a vertical self-management center.
Yeah, and then, there's so much more to it.
That's about maybe the halfway point.
Kind of what I was expecting, because that's kind of all that the previews give away.
Yeah,
and then
at
so
this
much
point
more
we know what all the rules
that.
are.
And
yeah.
so much more happens after.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's neat too when at some point in the night the platform goes back up, and it's just a blur. And,
nobody's jumping onto that thing.
And it's apparently they never explain that either. There's no cables. There's no nothing. It just levitates down and floats down.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are not explained.
A lot of things not explained. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't climb up the cables. There's no pillar to slide down. It's the magic platform.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the setting here is everything, which reminded me immediately of the film Cube, which I also enjoyed tremendously. It's one of my favorites.
Obviously.
Oh, and they use the word obviously like 70 times.
No, 26 times.
Okay.
It's here in the trivia.
Obvio.
Obvio.
It's subtitled. Didn't even mention that. It's subtitled.
Mm-hmm.
The world of Cube was also a world of rules, sudden death, and betrayals. And there's absolutely no logic behind why a government would have a place like this. But if you just accept that and move on, it's a really interesting little world with interesting rules.
And like Cube, you don't know how big it is.
Yeah.
At first.
It took a long time to explain all the rules and really understand the situation, and that was kind of the majority of the fun with the film.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea where it was going or heading until the end, and the story just sort of developed on its own, which was great. You kind of expect maybe there's a prison break, or maybe there's a prison revolt, or maybe he finds an interesting way to survive, and you don't know where this is going.
Where is it going to go? We're not going to tell you.
It's a lot of rules.
Yeah.
There's definitely some religious and political commentary here if you want to take the time to think about it.
Anti-capitalism. And,
yeah.
Yeah. The ones on top, having it good, and the ones at the bottom killing each other.
Trickle-down dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that there are going to be people who write papers on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, could see that.
And I'd like to get into all the political and religious commentary on all that, but, right now I'm just hungry.
I don't like the way you're looking at me.
Yum.
Yeah. So anyway, that was my favorite of the four. For sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want. I put it off for like 3 days.
You did.
You want to watch the platform?
No, I don't want to. Let's watch Doctor Who instead.
So many horror films on Netflix are just a waste of time.
This one was not a waste of time.
No, it's really good.
It was really excellent. Yeah. The Platform 2019. Check it out.
It is subtitled,
mm-hmm.
but it's not. There's not that much dialogue. It's worth it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well. That's our show. Thanks for joining us. Stop in during the week at horrorguys.com for all the usual stuff. Read the reviews. Search for old stuff. We've got every single movie we have ever talked about on the show. All 74 episodes. The reviews are on there.
It's a lot of movies.
Not quite 400 yet.
It's a lot of reviews.
It's a lot, yeah. Mm-hmm. Including all the shorts. You click on the tag for shorts and you got all kinds of fun stuff you can watch.
Yeah.
But get ready for next week when we'll be watching some more classics.
Mm-hmm.
We'll begin with Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed from 68.
Don't think I saw that. I don't think I did.
All the names kind of sound alike to me,
Yeah,
so
that's-
I couldn't
that's the
tell you at
problem.
this point.
That's a problem I might have.
Yeah,
Or I might have been taken to see it when I was 3 and, don't remember it.
He has seen more gross horror movies when he was 2 and 3
Oh, yeah, my folks
than I saw before I was 20.
My folks had no problem taking me to all kinds of things, yeah. Drive-in, movie theater, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a wee lad on up, yeah.
That didn't affect your development at all, did it?
Well, it's a little frustrating sometimes because there's some movies I can just barely remember bits of. And it's like, wow, was that as scary as I remember? And some are not. Some I found, it's like, oh, that's awful. That's
yeah,
bad.
most of them would impress a 3-year-old, sure.
Yeah, it was scary then.
Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed from 68. The Boogeyman Will Get You from 1942. Amityville 3D from 1983. And we're finally, maybe, possibly going to get to Dr. Sleep from 2019.
Maybe.
And we'll have a short or two, unless something more interesting sounding comes along.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
We'll see you next week.